sure that things are going to be done accordingly. And if it happens to good sidetrack, how do we get back on track? And then applying knowledge to finances. That's all this is. 4 easy learning outcomes. Easy. This is not hard. It's not even challenging. It's actually pretty easy, but you need assistance. You need help. You need guidance. You need individuals who don't mind. And I am one of those individuals who will put in that time to make sure that you have what you need. Jax,
Yes.
what did they just tell you? Close the door. Thank you, sir. And wait outside for an hour. You can't come back in. Okay? Thank you, buddy. All right. So, my apologies for that. Nevertheless, 4 learning outcomes. All right. So, let's jump right into it. Where should financial literacy be taught? Home or schools? A call for financial literacy in both academia and home. Presented by Tyrone Glover, CEO of Leverage Credit Recovery and the founder of Yonkers Young Entrepreneurs. So as I said, financial literacy should be taught in both. Home is the important piece of it, but there is that academic quality that must come. The urgency of financial literacy in today's world. Financial literacy is no longer optional, but essential for survival and success. If you don't understand that, I'm telling you right now, you are setting yourself up for failure. Youth of color in marginalized communities are disproportionately affected by the lack of financial education. I've seen it firsthand as an individual of color. I grew up without having, not going to say I didn't have the necessities, but I grew up with not having the brilliance or the brightness of understanding how money works. With what I know today, if I'd had this back when I was 18 or 20 or 25 or even 30, I probably would be doing what I'm doing today, but it would be at a much larger, greater capacity. But it's never too late. And I'm talking to, obviously, our youth of color. I'm talking to those within that marginalized community. I'm talking to low income. I'm talking to individuals who may believe that they're poor, middle class, the ever eroding middle class. I'm talking to individuals whose income is not where it needs to be, but could be at a potential point in their life. This is where this comes in play, right? But you've got to get financially educated. The home and school must share the responsibility for educating the next generation. They must. And it's important that mom, dad, caregiver, loved ones, guardians, the individuals that are entrusted to that upbringing of that child, understand that these things are essential and we have to do a better job. There's no getting around it. We have to do a better job because once we know how money works, once we understand the key concepts of how to navigate these spaces, we're going to have all the things that we want. But we got to get out of our own way first. So if you walk away with one thing today, I want you to walk away with owning up to your part of what your issues were. That's it. Owning up to it. Knowing that I'm an overspender. Knowing that I do this or knowing that I do that. Or knowing that I have to better myself in whatever it is. And then finding like-minded individuals that can help you navigate that space with almost ease. That's what we do here. All right. So we got to make sure that that home and the school must share the responsibility of educating the next generation. Why financial literacy matters. The consequence of financial literacy. Debt and credit mismanagements lead to generational poverty. We know that. We've seen it. We've probably heard it from, if not within that household, we may have heard it from our coworkers, or we may have heard it from friends. We may have seen it on different TV shows or whatever, or wherever we get our information. Debt and credit mismanagement leads to generational poverty. If you are African American, if you are Hispanic, if you are Caucasian, if you are Middle Eastern, if you are Asian, if you are from wherever on this globe and you are now residing here in the United States, well, you have to do a better job at managing that debt, managing how that credit maneuvers around certain elements. And not doing that is going to set you up for failure. It's exactly what it's going to do. And you have to do a better job at that. All right, day trading, investing, and savings are misunderstood or neglected. Now, day trading, again, controversial. That's a topic for another day. Investing, that is something that you all have to learn how to do. You have to learn how to invest. You have to learn how to take money and put it into situations that are going to give you a return on your investment. You have to be able to take money, obviously leftover money or money that has not been used due to how you get your resources. And then you have to be able to put it into secured locations and watch that money grow over time. But there are experts out there. There are experts out there who can help you. I need you to go that way. Jax, you got to stop doing that, buddy. I need you. I'm doing a show. Ask Story. Ask Mommy. Take your book back. Do not come back in that door again, please. I have to get done with this show. Go. You have to be able to understand your money has to work for you. Investing is one of the greatest opportunities, but not enough of us partake in that opportunity. And you have to know how that works. And there are great individuals out there who can navigate that space for you. But remember, ROI, return on that investing. Savings, another, I would have to say savings is, for me, it's a little bit on the tricky side. Should we be putting things to the side? Absolutely. But are they giving us enough return on that investment? On that saving, shall I say? In my opinion, I don't think so. But as I said, there are experts out there who know a lot more about this area. But as I said, I'm going to give you some information. Hopefully you'll start thinking about it, and then you'll reach out to those experts who can navigate you down that space. All right. But they are misunderstood and they are neglected in communities or marginalized communities. We're talking about 60, 70, sorry to have to say this, even upwards of 80% of the population does not invest, nor do they have enough even in savings. Why? Because it's misunderstood and it's neglected. All right. Inaccurate credit reporting and lack of knowledge perpetuates financial inequities. Yes, not having the basics is preventing us from having that security, that financial freedom that we're desperately seeking. And it's easy to come by. You just have to, again, own up to your portion of it. And then you have to decide, okay, what's more important? Do I continue the bad behavior? Do I continue with the process of not changing or course correcting? Or do I do something different? And what I'm asking you all now is to do something different. I'm asking you all to think about what has transpired over the last, now they're talking about, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Well, I've been back in New York State for 10 years now. And I can honestly tell you, in the last 10 years, I'm definitely better off. Financially, I'm better off. Educationally, I'm better off. Spiritually, I'm better off. Mentally, I'm better off. Physically, I'm better off. And all because I decided to focus on financial literacy, my own wealth, and it made me that much of a better person. And all I'm doing is extending that same type of understanding to those who really want it. And as I said, the economy grows. The economy has been growing since 1896, when the Dow at first was in its inception. Trust me when I tell you today, Dow broke another record yesterday, came back a little bit, but still, nevertheless, the United States economy makes money. It makes money, and we have to now know how to make money. Money's not the root of all evil, but depending on whose hands it is in, could be. But if you learn these basics, these fundamentals, you will not only have enough for you, you will have enough for the generations to come. And you have to pass on this valuable knowledge. There's no getting around that. You have to pass on this valuable knowledge. That little man that you just saw come in and out of here, that's my guy. And I got to make sure that his future is taken care of. I got to make sure that his sister's future is taken care of. I got to make sure that the nephews and nieces who are also part of this overall family that we have, I got to make sure that their futures are taken care of. And I need you to do the same for your families. Make sure that those of you who are listening, those of you who are going back later on to view this show, make sure, or view the other shows that I've also put out there, make sure you understand why you are doing it. What is your why? And my why is to make sure that the next generation does not is not and does not miss out on the golden opportunities that this economy has given. No other choice. Right? So credit, the foundation of financial health. Understanding credit, accurate credit reporting. What is credit and why is it critical for financial independence? Well, credit is a means of being able to purchase something now and pay for it later. And if you have a great and exceptional credit score, what's going to happen with that? You're going to be able to borrow at almost nothing. Now, it would be nice to say that we would love to be able to borrow just like businesses can borrow or like banks can borrow from the federal government, but unfortunately we can't. So we get hit with interest. And we have to be very, very careful about that interest. If you have a 800, 810, 820 credit score, why are you still paying 28% interest? That's a question that you may have to ask yourself and then go back and ask those individuals that you are now being hit with that 28% interest. You have to ask them, hey, wait a minute, hold on here. Can you help me out? Can we renegotiate something? And then if they tell you, start giving you the hemming and hawing, you might want to think about this is not an ideal partner that you want to be with. The lower your credit score, clearly the higher interest you're going to be paying. Why? Because they look at you as a risk. And you can change that risk by understanding your behavior and using transaction products that build. Credit is a transaction product that builds. The more you understand that you're building, the less you're going to be doing to prevent yourself from having those opportunities that credit is going to be providing. So it's really important to understand credit is a means of a transaction method that builds, plus it lets you buy now and pay later. And why is it critical for financial independence? Well, again, it helps you with the ability to be able to purchase what you need, pay for it later, and build a positive rapport with whatever lenders that you might be borrowing from. And there are two types of credit products that I want you to really be focusing on. One is a unsecured product, and the other one is a secured product. The unsecured means it's going to come with a borrowing, meaning you're going to borrow something. And there's that unsecured where you're securing it with your own resources, right? Both of those methods are reportable. So you got to make sure that you are getting your credit reported. It's really important. This is one of those things that we have found out that's not happening. They're not reporting, and they're not reporting it in the time frame in which they are contractually obligated by the regulators as to how they're supposed to be reporting our credit. So if you're not checking, trust me when I tell you, they're not checking. They're not going to call you up and say, oh, by the way, you didn't check your credit today. No, they're hoping that you don't. They're hoping that you will find yourself in a need. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to get hit with a much higher credit score. A much higher credit interest rate. So you want to be very, very vigilant. I believe if we walked out the house and left that phone right there, guess what we'd be doing? We'd run right back into that house and get that phone. If we forgot our wallet, or if we forgot the purse, or if we forgot something important for a business, we'd run right back in there. Why don't we have the same sense of urgency when it comes to our credit profile? We need to start doing that. We need to make sure that these things are first and foremost, especially when it comes to that independence that you're desperately seeking, when it comes to that financial understanding. We need to be financially stable, secure, and independent. And these are the ways in which you're going to be able to do that. The impact of poor credit scores on employment, housing, and loans. Again, we know that in the Obama administration, they did somewhat with removing some of the hindrances when it came to the employment. But guess what? If they do not, let me rephrase that. If they leave that question on the application, do you mind if we check your credit? And you don't answer that question, don't be surprised that you don't get that call back. Don't be surprised that you may not get that job because you chose to omit something that was on the application. Now, technically, it shouldn't be there, but it's not our show. And our show is to do what? Is to make sure that you know what to do just in case you are presented in some type of a format where that question is there. Don't run from it, run to it. But if you've done everything that you needed to do, then guess what? That question is not going to be a hindrance. What about housing? We know that is challenging out there today, either trying to buy or even trying to rent. Oh yeah, venture capitalists. Have you heard that word before? Those two words together? All right. They're buying up, skyrocketing those rent prices. It's challenging today. I went 2 years ago looking, and the individuals that I found, meaning a property manager, they were telling me that I needed to make 26 or $36,000 a year. $36,000 a year, just to even give me the time of day to even let me look at one of the apartments. Not very many of us who reside in, say, undesirable conditions like being poor or being middle class, or even somewhere in upwards of that middle class. 128,000, 138,000, just two. And think about the prices that have also been out there. You're talking about a studio, $2,300 in Yonkers. You're talking about a 2-bedroom somewhere upwards of $3,600 or $3,600. $3,600 a month. $2,600 a month for a studio is astronomical. Is crazy. $3,600 is insane. But we live in coastal cities where those prices are only going to get higher and higher and higher. And they're only going to get higher and higher and higher due to the fact that we're being bought out of our communities by venture capitalists and those who have deep, deep, deep pockets, creating situations where it's going to be almost unaffordable to buy or even to rent. And as far as loans are concerned, again, those loans come with a borrowing cost, and that cost is the interest. So you want to make sure that you understand your credit, how it works to your advantage, and what you have to do to make sure that you get the best loan conditions. And the only way to get the best loan conditions is to be informed and know your rights when it comes to how your credit works and what Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian should be doing for you. There are also regulators out there that will help you. One of the regulators is called the CFPB, that's called the Consumer Financial Protections Bureau. Another regulator that's out there is the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. And if you really want to dive into a little bit more, getting firsthand help, then you can always go to your attorney generals of your state. But the CFPB, one of the best locations that I can honestly tell you, they do help. But as with all agencies, a little bit on the slow side, a little bit on the maybe we might not put as much emphasis in it. But as I tell everybody, a willing partner. You have to find the willing partners who are going to do their job. And it's sad to have to say that today. The service industry, as great as it is going to need more willing participants who are able to step in and literally lend that hand, that helping hand that's going to be needed. All right, so the impact of poor credit, as you can see, it's going to impact your employment, it's going to impact your housing, and it's definitely going to impact your loan. All right, so day trading and investing builds wealth. Introducing day trading and investing for beginners. Yes, you need to jump into these spaces. Day trading, as controversial as it is, it's an exchange of time and money. It's learning a brand new skill, which we all should be focusing on doing, learning a brand new skill. We would rather go to work for someone and get minimum wage versus learning a brand new skill that would allow for us to write our own paycheck. It is a controversial topic, and I understand why it's controversial, because not a lot of people understand the space. I've been doing it for 5 years, and I have to tell you, paid off tremendously. The investing piece is another space in which we also have to get in. Again, I said 60, 70, even upwards of 80% of the United States of America, and the globe is probably somewhere on that same percentage, does not invest. Why? Well, the reason why they don't invest is because, again, the financial literacy piece that should have been taught in schools is no longer there. I learned about it when I was in high school. That was eons ago. And I did my little piece during then. When I went into the military, I did a little bit more. When I got out of the military, I started doing a little bit more. So I've been investing for a good 40 years. And I honestly, I'm here to say, I wish I knew more about it at that time. I'd have probably ended up putting more in it. But that I knew what I did know still gave me a nest egg that is doing pretty well. And I'm grateful to the fact that I had individuals around me at that time who were telling me, put this $5, put this $10, get those savings bonds, do these types of things. This is what's going to help you longevity over the next 20, 30, 40 years. Leave it there. Don't touch it. Leave it there. Don't touch it. Find another means if you're in trouble. Don't go snatching from your investments. Leave it there. Don't touch it. That's what's going to pay off. But in order for that to pay off, you have to be financially literate. The basic concept of day trading, accumulation, distribution, and market behavior. Understanding what drives the market and what sends the market up, what sends the market down, and how the behavior of the market. But that comes with knowing or having someone in that corner who knows better, right? Who knows how to. I have a good friend. His name is Antonio Quinata, and he's a fiduciary. And a fiduciary is obligated by law to make sure that you make money. They can't just make money for themselves. And unfortunately, there's a lot of products out there that we have thought that were going to pay off and unfortunately haven't really done the best because they're tied to certain markets. And when those markets are not doing as favorable, guess what? Your product might not get that ROI that it is deserving of. So it's really important to understand who's managing my money, and are they managing it to my benefit or are they managing it to their company's benefit? Really important to know these things. The difference between investing, day trading, ROI, how to calculate and understand return on investment, making sure that you get a good return on your investment. And if you don't understand how to do that, then the best thing that I can tell you is learn what Rule 72. There it is. Learn the Rule 72, which is compound interest. Learn the Rule 72 compound interest. If you are unsure, hit me up with a text. Hit me up with something that I can shoot back to you, an email, and I will send you over information about that compound interest, how your money is going to double over a certain amount of time based off of your interest. So these are those important things that you need to know about day trading, investing for beginners, getting yourself out there into that space, understanding that, yes, it's going to take some time. You're going to need some coaching. You're going to need some tutelage. You're going to need people who know this inside and out. And one of my good friends, Dr. Yana B, again, I'm telling you, when it comes to that investing piece, when it comes to those tax understandings, there's no better person in my circle. So as much as I talk about my show, I'm going to also make sure that you also understand who she is and what she brings to the table when it comes to Access Wealth Nation, which you should all definitely chime into Thursdays at this very same time. All right, saving and ROI, a lifelong habit, the power of saving and return on investment. You have to understand there is power in putting money to the side. There is power in it. Problem that we have is that they know us so well that once we put that money into, guess what happens? We have to remove it as quickly. And that's the part that we as marginalized communities and individuals of color may not be as nuanced in it as we need to. We need to be able to make sure that that money stays, and it stays there no matter what the circumstances are. We have to find other means of being able to, if there's an emergency, have an emergency fund. If there's a situation, have a situation fund. But we have to stop running to our investments and to our savings for these types of emergencies. So why savings should be instilled early. If we start teaching our kids that every time we go to the store, you don't have to buy something, well, guess what? They'll start putting it away. Well, we should create not just the piggy bank, but we should create a ledger of how much money goes in. We got these newfangled technology in this device. Well, instead of putting money in those traditional methods, well, let's start putting them in those new fintech products that we can see immediately as to how much money and what percentages of it am I getting back. Let's start introducing these products to our youth early. There's a product out there called GoHenry. There's another one out there called Busy Kids. There is another one, and I can't think of the name right now, but nevertheless, you have Cash App, you have Webull, you have all these new products, and they're called fintech products because they're financial products, but they're in the space of the World Wide Web. They don't necessarily have to have brick and mortars, and to be honest with you, I find some of them more favorable than the brick and mortars. So it's really important to make sure that you're starting early and that you understand these products. Don't just give someone your money and not understand what they're doing with your money. It's super important. This is all encompassing that financial literacy. Stop giving your resources to when you don't understand what's being done for you. All right? So early emergency funds, compound interest. We should not be having to go to our savings when there is an emergency. We should understand, as I said, that compound interest, how much of my money is doubling based off of the interest that I'm receiving. Super, super concept. How savings can grow into investments with proper guidance. Again, having those tutors, having those smart individuals that all of us should have within our circle, especially when it comes to our financial understanding. We're going to need coaches. We're going to need tutors. We're going to need mentors. We're going to need individuals who are so well versed in that space. And yes, it may come with a cost, but trust me when I tell you, the long-term investment of that initial cost is going to pay off tremendously. And as you yourself get older, you're still going to have younger individuals within that dynamic of the household or within the family. You need to be making sure that they understand these concepts as well. And that information needs to be passed on from one to the next, from one to the next. We need to break the cycles of inequality. And it's not going to come through what the government does. Yes, the government is going to be able to assist. They're going to be able to make sure that there are programs out there for us, but we still have to do our part. If you have less than stellar or less than perfect credit, that's going to hinder you. Even if the government does put out a program that is designed to help you, it's still going to hinder you from getting that actual item. So if we do our part now with making sure that we clean up, we get underneath those beds and sweep out all that dirt and cobwebs, make sure that we do the things that we need to do within our financial house, guess what's going to happen? Every opportunity that's going to be coming up is going to be there for you. But again, you have to do your part. All right. And there are people out there, as I said, even myself, there's people out there who has helped me, who have now allowed for me to give the information that they gave to me, not stepping into their space, but just give you that information. And hopefully you will find someone, reach out to me. I'll definitely steer you right into the hands of those who are going to protect your assets while they're educating you on the fundamentals of why those assets are either making money or what you need to do if you are losing money. All right, ROI as a concept, teaching students to evaluate where their money goes. Return on investment, return on investment. You should almost be sleeping on that right there. Return on investment, return on investment. What am I doing to get a return on my investment? If I want good health, I'm going to have to put good things into my body. If I want to gain those muscles, I'm going to have to go to the gym. That's a return on those investments. If I'm ill and I go to the doctor and they give me medication, that's a return on that investment of good health. I need to do things that give me a return on my investments, because that's what's really going to pay off. You have to know this. And if we teach our kids early, put things away. Don't spend it immediately. If you get $1, spend 25 cents. Well, I say that jokingly because when I was growing up, $1 can take you a long way. Oh yes, $1 can take you a long way. Today, obviously not. We've seen inflation eat at, and again, I'm saying this word not to be a triggering word. I'm saying this word because when you understand how inflation works, you will understand that maybe we should stop shopping. Maybe we should force these big businesses to stop jacking up the price and start lowering the price. Because there used to be a lot more manufacturing. There used to be a lot more vendors. There used to be a lot more. And now due to mergers, due to buyouts and things of that nature, guess what? It's reduced. That's the core reason, if you really think about why inflation goes through the roof, because there's no competition. There's no one to force those prices down. And we, the consumer, they already know us better than we know ourselves. They know that we're going to spend. So they keep introducing more and more product that we think we need and keep bringing more and more. And no matter how high that price gets, guess what we keep doing? We still keep spending, but then we start blaming. We start blaming regulators and start blaming presidents. No, look at self. One. Second, look at the business. That's all I'm telling you. Look at yourself and look at the business. If the business is making hand over foot profit because they keep showing us what they're making, they keep putting it on CNBC, they keep putting it on the business channels like Bloomberg, they keep telling us, wow, look how great we're doing. But yet we still have wage stagnation. Yet we still have homelessness. Yet we still have poverty beyond. But yet rich get richer, poor get poorer. Why? Well, these are some of the reasons right here. All right. So home as the foundation. Why financial literacy must start at home. Home as the foundation. Parents play a key role in molding responsible financial behavior. Yes, what grandma did, what mom did, what grandpa did, what father did, what great-grandpa, great-grandma, what auntie, uncle, wherever one is residing. What goes on in that household is traditionally what we tend to follow. Not saying that any of that is incorrect, but I believe now that we're in a new generation and heading into more generations where what may have worked in the 60s and in the 50s might not be working today in 2024 or moving forward. So we really have to reevaluate some of those circumstances. I've heard a lot of individuals, I don't use credit. And I get it, but I understand why some people don't. But I still always question as a credit guy why they don't. Because as I said, credit is a building tool. It allows for me to build, create rapport, create a reputation with lenders that are going to allow for me to borrow at a much lower cost. And you're going to need that money. You're going to need to be able to borrow at a much lower cost, whether you are a regular individual or whether you are an entrepreneur, or whether you're thinking about becoming a business owner yourself. That business credit is important, but before they give you that business credit, they're going to be checking out your personal credit. They want to make sure that you can at least do the pieces with your own resources prior to them giving you their resources. And this is why credit is so important, because your personal credit is going to tell a story. And hopefully that story is a positive story. But if you don't focus on building those key concepts within that household, you're setting your children or your grandchildren or your nephews and nieces, you're setting them up for failure. And the best way to do that is to start modeling positive, responsible, accountable behavior within that household. Practical ways to involve children in financial discussions, allowances, and budgeting. I know we've done away with allowances because we gift our kids entirely too much. I think we like more stuff than we do stock. And we need to change that mentality. We need to definitely be making sure that we're having these conversations. When you have to go shopping and the kids are like throwing all this stuff into the cart, you need to ask them, what do we need this for? Oh, I just want it. Well, what do you want it for? They have to give you a valid reason, because if you went to your boss and told your boss, hey, I need more money, what is your boss going to tell you? Well, he might say, or she might say, depending on what your boss is, well, what have you done for us, has Janet Jackson said lately, and why should we give you more money? You need to have a reason behind that. You need to be able to pinpoint what you have done for that organization, and this is how we should be managing that household as well. You need to be able to your child needs to be able to pinpoint why they need a Snickers bar, why they need ice cream, why they need these things that, again, are costing you the ability to put extra money to the side, savings, investing. But if they don't, and you're just going to reward them for what? Just being your child? I think that's a bad way, or not bad, I don't want to use bad, but that is a irresponsible way. We need to teach our children proper understanding. Let's give them allowances. Let's make sure that they understand. Don't spend all your allowance. Spend maybe 10, 15, up to 25%. Put that 75% somewhere. Wait for 30 days to see what happens, or wait for 15 days till you get that next allowance. Watch that money grow versus just getting it, spending it, getting it, spending it, getting it, spending it. You know, we've been doing that for decades now. So this is why the industry knows us so well, because they know that 60, 70, again, 80% of the population doesn't make enough. They don't invest. They don't have the resource or the means. So guess what they do? They get it, they spend it. They get it, they spend it. And where are they spending it? And what are they spending it on? They're spending it on the basics. That's it. And once they take care of the basics, there's almost nothing left. We have to do better, and we have to do better in that household, passing down generational knowledge and resources. When it's good, make sure you pass that down. When it's bad, make sure you reevaluate and figure out why. We are now deep in it, folks, knee deep in it. And I can go back to the history that I've already learned about Black Wall Street. I can go back to the history that I learned about Durham, North Carolina, where there was Maggie Lena Walker, who created her own bank. I can go back to the histories of just looking at how wages have become stagnated. I can look at how, or go back in history and look at how rich folks got richer and richer and richer and richer and richer, and how the poor got poorer and poorer and poorer and poorer. And I can tell you right now, has not that much to do with presidents, the individual. It has to definitely do with their policies, but those policies come through other operations as well. The president is just a figurehead. That's all. You have Congress, you have the clearly you have the Senate and the House, and then you have the courts. But those equal branches, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial, those equal branches are what might be causing you harm, financial harm. And the more that we understand this knowledge and the resources, we're able to navigate that space a lot more effectively. And I'm speaking as a teacher who understands that the process in which money works has to be literally at the forefront. It has to be ingrained in us. It has to be almost like air, water, those essentials. We need to make sure that financial literacy becomes one of those essential understandings. And we need to protect it at all costs, because it's going to help you now, and it's going to prevent any hardships that might come later, not just for you, but for those generations to come. All right, so the roles of schools, why schools must prioritize financial literacy. Schools are the preparatory stage of academia and life skills. Preparatory stage, K through 12, preparatory stage. We are preparing our youth for life. Why are we leaving out this essential skill? Oh, because we want workers. We want laborers. We don't want individuals to challenge. We don't want individuals to have an understanding that you could earn more or you are valuable. Know your worth. If you don't know your worth, someone already knows what you are worth. So you have to know a little bit about what you bring to the understanding. Now, if you're someone like myself, you know a lot about what you bring to the understanding, and you can easily get up and walk away if it's not suiting. But the best thing that is always good for you is to know how to negotiate. And unfortunately, not a lot of us know how to do that. We settle. We came to this country in 1400s, and we're still settling today in 24. We're still settling today. When are we going to break that cycle? Well, hopefully today, some of us will break that cycle. But you need to learn these early. Get your kids involved with it early. Get your high schoolers involved with it now. We have a financial literacy club that's going to be starting in Riverside High School. I'm super excited. We're back on year 2. I'm super excited about the opportunities that Riverside High School has given me to be able to present this to youth of color in marginalized community. I'm super happy, and I can't wait to bring in some of those experts who can talk also equally about the other directions in which their financial knowledge must go. All right, so school is an essential part, and it helps with that preparatory stage. Integrating financial literacy into the curriculum from elementary schools, getting it started early. I like STEM. I understand what it's there, and I understand that it does what it does, but we have to start looking at adding more to that STEM platform. Once we add more to that STEM platform, financial literacy and civics needs to also be part of that. So I don't know how STEM is going to add F and C in there, but we definitely need those components to be added into STEM. Children are suffering. These children who suffer now suffer as adults. These adults who suffer as adults will suffer as they get into those senior years. They won't have the resources. They're on fixed incomes at that point. And we need to make sure that our seniors, even now today, it's never too late. My mom is 75 years old. And guess what? She's learning how to put money to the side. She's learning how to understand that, wow, my money is not going as far as it used to. So how do I cut back? How do I make sure that my credit is in a position where I'm okay? Should I fall short this month? Oh, at least I know that these utilities and these other things have been allocated to my credit cards, and all I have to do is wait that 5 to 10 business days for that to free up. And then guess what? I'm able to do what I need to do again. But she's learned a lot about what she has not done to now understanding, wow, these are some of the things that I still can do, even though I'm on a fixed income and I can still live the lifestyle that I want to live. Hey, that's a win-win for her. And I extend that not only to my mom, I extend it to my nieces, my sisters, my nephews. I extend it to my broader community here in Yonkers. I'm definitely extending it to the academic community. And guess what they're doing? They're receiving it and with open arms. They believe that this is a value too, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity of being able to do it. So the schools are schools as a safe space for learning financial tools that are often missing at home. I know we've got busy lifestyles. I know we have a lot that we need to be doing. And with that being said, I know that we must prioritize this understanding. We're getting closer to that time frame where, as you can see, an hour zooms by. We got about 8 minutes, and I'm going to throw the Q&A out there. Anybody out there who has a question that they want to drop into the question slot, please do so at this time. I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. But this is, I can see, it's going to be a two-part series. A two-part series where we'll finish this off in our next Tuesday show. So I'm glad that you participated in this. I hope you walked away with a great and wealth of knowledge, but I'm going to continue here. So again, remember the schools as a safe space for learning financial tools that are often missed at home. So we got to make sure that this is a tandem. Schools and homes, schools and homes, schools and home. Make sure that your schools have a financial literacy component. Make sure that if you go to nonprofit organizations, make sure they have a financial component. If you have after-school programs, make sure that they have a financial component. Let's focus on making sure that our churches have a financial component. Let's focus on making sure that wherever we receive our information, that they have a financial component. Let's make sure that our boss, our place of employment, has a financial component. Because if we have a financial component, guess what happens? We're able to do the things that we're able to do. And that's the important piece, being able to have that financial component that allows us to do what we need to do. So the case for early financial education start them young. The impact on marginalized youth. We have to do a better job. Financial habits are formed early. Why waiting until high school is too late? Yes, it is. It's a little bit late once you get into the high school dynamic. It's a little bit late. And we need to do a better job at making sure that that happens early on. If we do that as it happens early on, when these individuals become adults, they will not have to be subjected to not having. And it's really important that we focus on making sure that our youth are not hindered as they move through the adult understanding. And if we do that successfully, guess what happens? It's a win-win. It is a win-win for everybody. All right. How financial literacy can break the cycle of poverty in marginalized communities. Having that understanding of how money works, tying it into all of the other components of your life. It's only going to break these cycles of poverty. We already know that wages are wages. Minimum wage has been federally has been $7.25 since 2009. States have done what they could to increase the minimum wage, but you're still at a minimum wage. We're going to work for a minimum when we should be working for something that is a living. All right. Once you understand these concepts, you get to change the direction in which you don't like how your finances might be going. So we have to do a better job. And the only way to do a better job is to get in front of a lot of our circumstances. It's not that hard. It's actually pretty easy. The importance of tailoring financial educations to the unique challenges of youth of color. Getting them engaged, getting them to understand it, getting them involved, keeping it on a level where they're motivated and they want to learn these things. And once we do that, it's easier. It's much easier once we do that. And the importance of that is to make sure that we do not hinder our children from the ability to do. And we have to be willing participants. We have to make sure that their growth, we're looking for them to grow financially. Our job is pretty easy. Our job is not just pretty easy, our job is very easy. The hardest part is getting out of your way, making that time, understanding the things that you have to do, owning up to what you've done. Once you've owned up to it, never revisit it again. Yes, once you've owned up to it and you realize these are the mistakes that I had made, never revisit it again, because I noticed that a lot of us spend a lot of time going backwards versus focusing on moving forward. And those are just another one of those pieces that we ourselves have to look at. So everybody, I'm hoping in these next 3 minutes, you're taking these notes. Understand you have the power to control your finances. You make sure you're protecting that credit. Make sure you're checking on that credit. Make sure that you're maintaining that credit at an exceptional understanding. Make sure that you are looking at how your investments are playing out. Make sure you understand the Rule 72, that compound interest. Make sure that you have savings and investing. Make sure you have things put away that you cannot and should not ever touch. Leave them there for those time frames in which you're going to really need it once that income starts to become fixed. Focus on an emergency savings. Look at avenues in where you can increase your wages or look for other ways to add more income streams. You know, the average millionaire has 7 income streams. The average millionaire has 7 income streams. That's a lot of income streams. The average person has 1. So key concepts for early financial literacy. What should be taught early? Well, credit, how to manage it, should be taught early. How to manage it, build it, and protect it. Savings and budgeting, the importance of discipline. Being disciplined in those areas, making sure that I don't overspend, making sure that I do put something away. Investing, basic concepts on the long-term benefits of growing wealth. Putting that resource away for that longer understanding of the return that's going to come back because you knew how to invest properly. Finding those people who are equally going to make sure that they're investing properly with you. And then understanding risk and reward in financial decisions, because there are always going to be both. There's going to be a risk and there's going to be a reward in your financial decision. And that happens with almost every purchase and with almost every transaction. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tyrone Glover, and I am the Dress Down CEO of Leverage Credit Recovery. We will finish this in our next session, which is going to be next Tuesday. And I am grateful to be able to present to you these concepts, these understandings. You can find us at Leverage Credit Recovery at gmail.com. Our telephone number is 805-428-9424. And we are equally on your variety of different social media platforms, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, X and Facebook. I want to thank you for making time today to give us part of your afternoon. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Welcome back to all of you. Thank you for welcoming me back. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you the best. Please stay safe and see you in our next session.